The question being now put.
I'm going to call Jan Logie.
Mr. Chair, and I would like to follow on from the previous speech and also offer my support for Sue Moroney's SOP to extend paid parental leave to 26 weeks. You know, obviously, as I've been saying, the Greens policy is 13 months, but that would be an honourable step towards a society where we are looking after our new families and our babies and giving the best start. And, you know, the members' bill that has been so far through Select Committee, that has received almost 4,000 submissions, that has heard from so many people and heard such personal and compelling stories, convinced the majority in this House that 26 weeks was a fundamental, that we as a society were saying if we're choosing between costs for things, actually New Zealanders choose 26 weeks. We have heard that message so strongly. I absolutely support extending the entitlement. Sadly, this bill does nothing to do that, so this is just about the length of time. And to date, we have the opportunity to deliver those health outcomes, those economic outcomes, those well-being outcomes to our mothers and babies and fathers by virtue of 26 weeks. And I would like to remind this House that some of the stories that came to us again, and I mentioned in the second reading only a few minutes ago, some of those stories that we heard in Select Committee. And another one I would like to offer, where we heard from a woman who was in a well-paid job and was able to actually take 10 months leave because that was in her contract. And she talked about what a wonderful time in her life that was and how privileged she felt to have that time, and how she hadn't actually really wanted to be a mother, and she had felt quite ambivalent about becoming a mother. But that time had enabled her to learn to love and connect with her child in a way that she might not have been able to do otherwise. You know, actually what we're talking about is giving some families, some mothers and babies, that ability, just that gift of time to connect. And once they've connected, that is something you can't undo. And there is good that flows from that that you cannot undo. And that is something that this society has said they value and they want. They would prefer that we spend our money on caring for our children and looking after our families. They would rather that than a larger surplus. They would rather that than motorways. They would rather that than most other things, because it really, really makes a difference. Another story that we heard was a woman who had extended leave again through her contract, and she talked about some of the difficulties that she'd had with breastfeeding and postnatal depression, and how if she hadn't had that time, that 6 months, that extended leave, she just didn't know how she would have coped. It's a really difficult time in the lives of so many women and babies, and it's a time we should be investing in and really providing those fundamental supports so that we show we care and that we get the best outcomes as a society. And I'm well behind the SOP that's going to enable that to happen, and I'm quite excited the possibility that this Parliament may be able to deliver that for New Zealand tonight. And the Green Party is right in there with that vision for a better society.
I'm going to call Carol Beaumont.
Much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Part 1 of this budget measures financial